Hey all, Dave Bryant. As promised, I was going to give you a bit of a walk around on the new motor and the transmission, or new to us anyways. Hopefully you can see that okay. That is an Allison automatic, a 545. And those are not overly expensive. Expensive enough, but not terrible for the application. This application came out of a 1996 school bus, so it will more than handle anything that we want to do with it. As you can see, these components right here, this is an adapter plate, and inside of that is a different flywheel and actually a different torque converter, which translates power from the motor to the transmission. It's a hydraulic setup. And there's also a different ring set in there, a ring adapter, to accommodate the Cummins diesel. Those, just those components right there to make this Allison to this Cummins are very expensive. So we were extremely blessed to be able to buy this thing as a whole unit. And I'll explain some of that in a minute. This motor, again, is a 96. It's got 86,000 miles on it, which is nothing for one of these motors. And I've cleared all of the excess heater lines and coolant lines and a couple of the oil lines and things that were all over it when it was pulled out of the bus, so you can get a better idea of what we're dealing with. This motor, displacement-wise, is actually smaller than the 454 that was in it. Physical size, it's quite a bit larger. Which will fit to scale a lot better, and we are extremely happy with the fact that we're going diesel and eventually biodiesel with this. So, and this particular motor is good for it. As you can see, this is complete. The turbo's there, alternator, the serpentine belt, the tensioner. The fan, which we're not going to use, does have a blade broken off of it, but again, we're not going to use it. This will get an electric fan, or dual electric fans mounted on the radiator itself, which we still have to get, which isn't that big a deal. Injector pump, P series, which is the modified pump, highly desirable. Those pumps right there are a few $1,000s if you had to go buy one. Luckily, we do not have to go buy one. As you can see, this one is intercooled, which means it's got a charge air cooler on it that will be put in it at some point when we actually obtain one, which just helps cool the air for denser air as it's forced through the system through the turbocharger, which is a good thing. This unit right here that we're looking at right here, that is actually a built-in air compressor. The bus that this came off from had air brakes. That is a pretty pricey item if you were to try to retrofit that onto one of these Cummins engines. Not a problem. Got it. That was a surprise when we got to Massachusetts. We did not expect to have an air compressor on it. Power steering pump is there. Starter is there. And the other side of the Allison transmission. Kick down cables. Throttle linkage cables, everything is there. And I spent a couple of days just starting to clean things up before it got real cold again and looking things over. So we are in exceptionally good shape, folks, actually. For the amount of money that we spent on this, we are a few $1,000s ahead. Believe it or not, these are not cheap to buy. The guy that we got it from down in Massachusetts, believe it or not, is getting ready to sell everything he owns and move to the Philippines, where his wife is from, and live in the mountains and go off the grid. So it was a spectacular deal. Just to give you an idea, the motor itself, just the motor, usually with unknown mileage, you can be looking at upwards of $2,200. And the pumps are sadly sometimes quite questionable. They hardly ever come with things like the alternator and the starter pumps still on them. This one's complete. And of course the air compressor is anywhere from, I've seen them for $600, I've seen them upwards of $1,200 and $1,300. which we have, again, this side of the adapters, the adapter plate to mate the motor to the transmission. That setup is usually $1,000, $1,200, and the transmissions run anywhere from, $400 to who knows if it works, to upwards of a couple of $1,000 for a decent one that you can have some confidence in. With all of that being said, we paid $1,300 for this, which is absolutely awesome. So all of your donations and the money that we got from the 454 and the Turbo 400 transmission that we had paid for this, which is absolutely awesome. Fantastic, as a matter of fact. So when we stripped everything off, everything's been mapped in the big book that we keep, as far as what went where and where it was routed. Same with what there was for wiring. The bonus to this is this motor is fully mechanical, and so is that transmission, which is going to simplify wiring a lot, and it actually adds to the durability and serviceability for us in the future with this particular truck, and we'll do the same with future bits trucks. There'll be nothing to plug in. Anything that fails on this in the future will be mechanical, and we won't need to have special service tools or a scan meter or anything to figure out what exactly is going on with it. So with that all being said, that is your 5.9 liter Cummins and your 545 Allison. I've started to clean things up, found a couple of surprises. If you can see this discoloration right here on that head, on that exhaust manifold, there was some question with all of the stuff on it if that was actually a leak from the top end, and it is not. It was sugar based, which leads me to believe somebody spilled a drink on it. It kind of looked like soda syrup, soda that had been spilled on it and just kind of left it dry, which is a big bonus. It is tight. There aren't any major leaks anywhere other than drips and whatnot from stuff being disconnected, and that was that. So we should be in very, very good shape. So this thing is going to get stripped down a little bit more. We're going to paint it, and then we'll start looking into fabricating the front mounts. And I'm going to try to find the second half of these lower mounts right here. And if I can't, then we'll just go ahead and fabricate some. The beauty of this transmission is there are probably at least 5 different mounting points on it. So if we have to fabricate mounts, it'll be relatively quick and easy to do and get it isolated with some rubbers that we can get from almost any application. That's a good thing about fabbing up yourself. So that's it in a nutshell, folks. Thanks to the guys from AC Towing. It was a fantastic idea. To get them over here, thanks Dad for that, and just have them drop it right on the frame. That way, that's what this plastic is about. We can clean and we can paint and not disturb any of the work we've already done on the frame and the front end. And I'm hoping, if the weather will break sooner or later, we will get this painted up and dropped into the frame and set, and then it will be a matter of we're going to plumb the exhaust. And we'll be able to plumb in these factory air cleaners to feed this thing lots and lots of fresh air. And some rudimentary wiring like we did with the 454. And we should be able to turn this thing over. This one we are going to have to put, I'm going to go ahead and fab up the radiator mounts and get the intercooler in it. That way this one will have liquid in it when we start it. I'd like to be able to run this one a little bit longer, and I don't want to take a chance on anything happening to it. Diesels run exceptionally hot. Things like the turbocharger are fluid dependent, and so is the air compressor on the other side. So we're going to make sure everything's tight and right, so it will be a much more of a finish run than it will be just a rough run to make sure everything's okay. So again, this is the last day of the $500 14-day challenge. We were still $120 short on that. We can do this, folks. It's not midnight yet, so we got a long way to go, but we're making leaps and bounds of progress. And this diesel is going to be much truer to the original nature and character of the truck. So thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you in a couple of days. Next video, I'm hoping we'll be out to White and Bradstreet, finding the other half of those mounts and maybe getting some of those dug out. And we will go from there. Thanks so much for your support and your time, and hope to hear from you. If you got any questions or input or advice, feel free to post them. If you've got a line on some things that we might be interested in, post those too. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.